Good afternoon, YouTube. You join me on this absolutely freezing day today, hence the Arctic gear that I'm wearing, because it's absolutely freezing in here. I'm going to turn the bike on in a minute and have a look at the temperature thing on the bike and see how cold it actually is in here. But today I'm finally going to get around to doing the coolant change on the ZZR. I've been wanting to do this for a while, but today I went down to Sports Bike Shop in Bristol and got the coolant I need for it. So I'm all ready to go with that. Another little quick update, I have changed the air filter in the bike now as well. It wasn't really worth filming that because it's literally just a quick, 2 bolts cover off in and out job, so it's nice and easy to do that really. So yeah, I'm gonna get everything ready and we'll get to the coolant change. Should be a fairly easy job by the looks of it, so hope it all goes well. Right, so the first thing you need to do, although actually I'll stop myself there before I say that. The absolute first thing you need to do is remove both the middle side fairings, which obviously, if you've seen previous videos, I've already done that. I've actually been waiting to do this coolant change before I can put the fairings back on, because you need both sides off. You need this side off to access the radiator cap. It's a bit of a silly design really, if you ask me. But yeah, you need this side off to access the radiator cap, and you need the other side off to access the drain plug for the coolant. So yeah, but the absolute first thing you need to do, don't forget, is remove the radiator cap, because the water isn't going to drain out of the drain plug the other side if it can't suck any air in. So the first thing you need to do is remove the radiator cap. Nope. Before I go any further, I might just put a bit of a cloth under there for some spillages, which is no doubt likely to happen. Thankfully I've got plenty of them. There we go. That coolant actually looks pretty good, to be fair, but we're here now, so I'm going to be changing it anyway, just for my own peace of mind and to show you guys how to do it as well. So yeah, first thing, radiator cap off. Right, now the second thing you need to do obviously is to remove the drain plug. Now this is the water pump here, and the drain plug is that 10mm bolt there. So we just need to remove that. I've got a nice big bucket here ready to catch all the coolant in. So and from what I've seen before, it's not just a case of it's going to trickle out. You're going to want something like this, because it will absolutely shoot out of there. So you need something nice and big, and big size, to make sure you don't have any spillages. There we go. As I said, yeah, it absolutely flies out. So I'm quite surprised actually. The coolant looks a lot better than I thought it was going to. I thought it may very well be the original coolant in there, but I would say it's definitely not. It looks far too clean to have been in there. Well, this bike's 10 years old now, so it looks far too clean to have been in there that long. So we'll let all that drain out. Now once it's all visibly, not coming out the plug anymore, one thing I think to do is a good idea is to go round and give all the coolant hoses a squeeze. If you give them a squeeze, see if I can pick this up. Look, if you give them a squeeze, you're going to get more coming out. So it's a good idea just to go round and give all the hoses a squeeze to try and get as much of it out as you can. I'll go around and do the other ones as well. Right, now the next thing we need to do is the reservoir tank here. So we need to take the 2 hoses off. There's one at the top there on the cap, and there's one at the bottom just there. There's the clip just there. You need to take the cap off, remove both the bolts, one there and one there. They're both 10mm bolts, and then just get rid of all that coolant into a container, and then just put the reserve tank back on basically. So crack on with that. Right, so I've just removed the bottom hose from the reservoir bottle, so now all the coolant's draining out of that. I mean, the Kawasaki manual actually says to take the bolts off, remove it, and then drain it into into a container, and that's after you've removed the two hoses. But I'm not really sure I understand that, because obviously once you remove the bottom hose it all just drains out anyway, so I'm not sure I'll bother removing it, because I don't actually see the point. I don't see why you need to. So I think it's just a case of removing that bottom hose, letting it all drain out, and then you'll have to take the cap off later on anyway to fill it back up. But yeah, I'll just let all that drain out. Right, that's pretty much finished draining. I've decided I am going to take this tank off, purely because I've noticed, I don't know if you can see it, can you see all that crud there that's sat at the bottom of the tank? So I think I'm going to take the tank off, just wash it out, just to get all that rubbish out that's in the bottom of it, and then I'll put it back on. Right, that's the tank off, so I'm just going to give that a bit of a clean out. Right, so I've cleaned the bottom of that tank out, and now I'm going to put the tank back on. That's it. I've cleaned off the old bolts as best as I can, and put some fresh Loctite on the bolts. It's always a good idea to do that. One up and then get the other one in. They don't have to be mega tight. As I say, the manual advises that you put fresh Loctite on the bolts, so I've done just that. There we are. Right, now let's replace this bottom hose under here. Just want to slid all the way on. These clips can be a bit finicky to get back on sometimes. Just using a flat head just to push the metal in while you pinch it is probably the easiest way of doing it. Make sure it's all the way on there. Right, now the top one obviously I'm going to leave off for now, because I've got to leave the cap off for me to for me to fill it up. So crack on with the next bit. Right, now the next bit is to actually put the drain plug back in. Now it's pretty essential, as far as I've been told, to replace the washer on the drain plug. So I'm going to take the old one off, and I've got a new one here that I got from Kawasaki a while ago. So I'm going to replace it with this nice new one. Put that on. And according to the manual, the torque setting for this bolt is only 10 Newton meters. So at the moment I'm just going to wing it, bung it back in. Not too tight, because 10 Newton meters isn't a lot. Put it back in, and I'll get the torque wrench on it at some point. Just nip it up. That'll do. Right, now I think we're ready to start filling it back up again. Right, now the coolant I'm using is this stuff I got from Sports Bike Shop. Coolant Coolant NF. Supposedly very good, safe for aluminium engine bikes. So I've heard some good reviews about it, and it's a very decent price as well, so it's not too expensive. So next stage is to fill the radiator all the way up to the neck until it gets up to here. So I'll do that. I'm starting to see we're getting to the top now. That's it, so I'm going to stop there. You can see as I'm squeezing this pipe, look, I'm just seeing a few little air bubbles come out. I'm not going to squeeze it too hard, otherwise it's going to come flying out the top. Right, now the next thing I'm going to do is fill the reserve tank back up. It has got markings on it, and if you can see it, just here, look, that's the low level, and that's the high level. So according to the manual, you fill it right up to the to full. So let's do that. Right, I think that should do us. Put the cap back on. back on. This clip's a bit easier to get to than the other one. Right, there you go. Right, so now what we're going to do to bleed the system is we're going to start the bike up with the radiator cap off, let it get up to temperature and let it purge the air, all the air out, and just watch as the bubbles come out of the radiator cap. Once it's up to temperature, turn it off, check the level in the radiator and check the level in the reservoir tank and top up if needed. And then once that's all good, then we should be good to go. So let's start her up. Oh, 4 degrees. Actually not as cold as I thought it was. Okay, so I've just switched the bike off. It got up to about 93 degrees, and as I can see now, look, this clearly does need topping up, so I'm going to top that up with some coolant. And then the next step, according to the manual, is to top this up, put the cap back on, start it again, run it again until it gets hot enough that the fans kick in, so you know, till it gets really hot, and then check the level in the reserve tank. If that needs topping up, top it up. If it doesn't, then it's all good to go, and that's it, job done. So let's put a tad more in this radiator, fill it back up. I'll be careful not to put too much in. That's it, I think, job's a good one. That's pretty much bang up to the neck. So now let's put the cap back on. And that's it. And obviously don't forget to put the cap guard back on. There we go. Right, that's that. Now let's start it up again, see if we can get it hot enough for the fans to kick in. And then check the level in the reserve tank. See, it's currently at 91 degrees. Alright, I'm not sure if you guys could hear that over the engine, but the fans did kick in that time. We got up to 98 degrees. So let's just check the level in the reservoir bottle. And no, it's still at the same mark, still on full, so there's no leaks anywhere. No leaks coming from the drain bolt, so I think we are all good to go. So that's it, guys, that's that job done. It was pretty straightforward, quite an easy thing to do over winter if you think your coolant might need changing on your ZZR or any other bike for that matter. I'm not sure if Chris is going to do it on the ER5 because obviously he hasn't long rebuilt it, so he doesn't really need to do anything like that. Any sort of service item he doesn't really need to do to his. But yeah, that'll do it for this one, guys, and we'll see you in the next one.